My name is Jason. I make YouTube videos sometimes. Um, and this is my friend Kevin. Would you like to introduce yourself?
What's up? I'm Kevin Gilliam. I am a senior at Columbia College Chicago, majoring in script writing and producing for television, but also for film because I took weird classes and now I have to do both. So that's going well. I've done two films, two a couple films, and actually two web series with Frequency TV about a couple years ago. Um, right now, I'm just freelancing, especially during this whole virus situation. So we'll see how that.
Right.
And you know, I'm a cat owner now. I don't know if that counts.
I
But
uh, I was not aware of that.
yeah, I'm a new cat owner. Hold on, here he is. Look at. Uh, Mr. Cat. Oh, I rescued him in Chicago, and
Oh,
we go. Um, he doesn't get along with my dogs. He gets along with one of my dogs, but not the
oh,
other.
okay.
But yeah. But we'll
Yeah,
be soon.
I'm glad you were able to get out of there. Okay, okay. It was a little bit eerie, like leaving the city, knowing that like everything was just shut down. It was a very strange feeling.
Yeah, and it was really weird too, and with the timing I left. When did you go back?
March 17th, like a day or two before everything closed.
Right, yeah, right. So yeah, I was around the same time. I think I was yeah, maybe like a week earlier or so, but I it was weird because not everything had shut down yet, and they were talking about closing down like borders in Jersey, like not allowing people to fly in. And I had my flight already, and I was like, I gotta get in. I gotta get my family. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and then when I got in, they immediately everything. The next day, everything was shut down. Um, all my friends were on quarantine. Like my best friend, his mom was like, he can't leave the house. Nobody can come to the house. And I was like, understandable. Um, but yeah, it's just since we never experienced something like this before, it was very jarring to sort of jump into really quickly. Um, but yeah, I mean, and coming back now too is also it's the same thing. Like everything's shut down. I work at Starbucks, the Starbucks on Grand and Wabash, and everything is they're all opening it back up, but we're only allowed to do orders, give orders from outside the door. So we're allowed to sort of make all the things inside, and we're open, but you can only receive orders from outside or mobile pickup. So um, it's going to be
Right.
interesting to say the least, especially since I'm still in training. So it's um, I got in at the right time. So, but also at a bad time. It's a little mixture of both. But it's still nice to have a job. So I won't take that for granted. I know a lot of people are out of job right now. So
Absolutely, yeah. It's a very strange time. I think that's uh, definitely a factor. But one of the reasons I want to start making these videos and interviews is I know that there's a lot of people that are going through a tough time, and I want to kind of share some of this information or questions might be speculative, but hopefully it can help others maybe make some decisions about their own life and how they can better themselves.
yeah.
Well, cool. The first question that I have for you is, how do you think the film and television industry will change as things slowly go back to normal?
Right. I think with like starting in what I guess like 2016 maybe or 20 yeah 2016 was really when Netflix was kind of hitting it off with everything. Um, that was the whole jump into the switch of streaming and watching everything from your computer and online and not tuning in to the television shows every week. I think the first television show that I would constantly tune into every week was Community. Community, yeah, the one with Donald Glover and I can't remember any of it. Jillian Jacobs,
Right.
they that I would tune in all the time. Every week, I waited. Every Tuesday, I waited to turn into that show. And then season maybe like six, I think, five or six, it got canceled because not enough people were tuning in, and I knew that was because of all the Netflix and well, basically because of Netflix and streaming into the to the computers and all that stuff. So that sort of opened up a new gateway for television and film. And now, 4 or 5 years later, it's huge, and it's the only thing we can really do right now because nothing, all the films are getting pushed back. Spider-Man got pushed back, Doctor Strange 2 got pushed back, um, and everything's being delayed, and we're constantly tuning onto TV, and especially with the new apps like Quibi, that kind of
Right.
on the go, on your phone kind of app. Even though I don't know how great that's doing now because we're all home anyway, so we're watching live things on TVs. But I mean, still with the same thing is that um, this change in how we watch television started before this virus, and it's sort of we're at a privilege right now to be able to have these types of this way of watching our content. And while that for television sort of has started already, film is going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see because as of right now, we can't get grouped up together and do our films. So like I said, a lot of things are being pushed back. But all these other streaming websites are being updated. New things are coming
Right.
every day. Like Disney Plus just received a bunch of new content for younger children, especially. I think a lot of the Disney Channel TV shows, a lot of more TV shows were added, and even like YouTube. Like there's a surplus of people that are making content on YouTube, and people are
Hey, I'm right here.
yeah, there you go. Exactly. And it goes with the interview kind of style. Goes with the gaming reviews, gaming streams. All that is sort of getting its kind of foothold in our content creation now. So I think it's definitely it's gonna be hard for a little bit to
Right, absolutely.
make new content, but it's also going to pave a way for different types of content to come into our atmosphere. And I think that will help sort of the more independent kind of content makers and filmmakers and all that. So,
Absolutely. And if I could just add on to that, kind of some of the changes I've seen in television. One of the things that I commonly do because unfortunately I like to watch a lot of reality television even though I know it's fake. Um,
yeah.
um, but one of the things that I do is I don't like sit there and just sit through all the commercials because I'm not going to watch like something like that online. So I DVR it uh, and then I play it like when it's done recording. But it's interesting because one of the ways a lot of television stations keep track of like viewership and whatnot, aside from the whole commercials, is that if people are, as you said, if people are tuning in, it's like cool, they're interested. But if they're recording it, I don't know how much that actually changes the factor of whether a show gets canceled or renewed.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. There definitely is a way for them to see how much they're tuning in. It's just written in the code. It's the same thing with Netflix with like how they take off. You see all the time where you're watching a show or you're watching a movie and you go back. You're like, hey, I saw this movie the other day. I wanted to show you. I wanted my friend to watch it, and it's not there no more. And you're
That's
like,
true.
well, what happened to it? And it's just not enough people, viewed into it. And also the same thing with licensing too. As all these other companies film companies are getting their own streaming services or hopping on to the ends of other streaming services like Amazon. Amazon's got a lot of different companies backed by them. So
Right.
they're moving their stuff. They're like, especially, like Netflix, they're losing a lot of people just because you want to make your own content, your own area to watch it. You want to make your own money off it, not give it to Netflix. So I think we're gonna see a lot of different services come into play, and Disney Plus is a huge new one.
Right.
So
Yeah, I was super bummed out when like I read an article that The Office is leaving Netflix
yeah,
because
yeah,
Yeah, because CNBC, I guess, bought it back, and I was just like, no, that's like my favorite thing to watch on there.
Yeah, exactly. I was upset when Futurama left Netflix.
Oh yeah,
Luckily,
that's a good one too.
I finished it all for the second time. But yeah, I think I was like 2 episodes from the end. I was watching it, and all of a sudden it wasn't there anymore. It says it on top of your screen. This will be leaving in April 25th, and you're like, no, what do you mean? Come on.
But cool. Well, yeah, my second question uh, is: do you think there will be bigger changes within the industry, or will it be more the types of content people consume?
That's a good question. I don't believe anything will change. I guess technically or sort of in the schematics of things. More. I think things will change based on how we watch. Like I said, Quibi. Quibi is a huge one. I have not, only because you have to buy into it, and I have not bought into it yet. I plan to soon, just because um, I find that kind of content interesting. But we're always on the go. We're always
Right.
going. You're going to work. You're running an errand. You're picking up kids. You're going to see your friends. You're on the go, and you're gonna want to watch. They want you to watch things all the time. And with these new devices that we have, I think technology plays huge into that, because we used to, the big thing was, like, for example, with my family, we used to, when I was in high school, we would eat dinner and sit down on the TV and watch it, watch the show that we. Even now, we still watch. My family loves watching Lifetime. I watch a lot of
Right.
Lifetime movies. So we'll sit down and we'll watch Lifetime movies. But um, I think that as technology changes, your method of watching changes. And that might not necessarily change what we watch, but just how we watch it. Um, and it might not necessarily change, like, the writing structure or different things, but just um, the way it's filmed. We have these devices that we can film anything, absolutely anything on. And we got apps like TikTok and Quibi and Instagram and YouTube, and they're all on our mobile devices that we keep continuing to update. So I'm very interested to see how technology will change and how our industry will sort of form around that. I just started getting into a new website called eco.com. I was studying abroad last semester, and I was thinking about creating a uh, sort of a series that was sort of like a choose your own adventure book, that you were able to um, pick what you wanted the character to do, what you wanted them to say, and that would change the course of the story, as well as the ending. You'd be able to
Kind of
play
like
it.
The Witcher a little bit.
Yeah, so yeah, sort of the same thing. You would be able to, and you would watch it on your TV. You watch it on the website, on your TV, on your phone, whatever, and you'd be able to select, just like Bandersnatch. You'd be able to select, and the whole content would change. You'd be able to watch it over and over again. And Eco allowed me to do what Netflix did, because nobody can do it unless you're, wonderful, amazing uh, uh, um, computer developer, which my
Right.
mom is, but she doesn't do that sort of. And I was able to drag and drop my footage, my audio, and all that stuff into it, and it would create it for me. But I would only be able to watch it on the website. But in the same sense, it still opens up a new alley for filmmakers such as myself to be able to do things. Even the new fad of VR watching. Watching with the Oculus Rift and the Samsung VR and the HTC. That I think is going to be huge. We just got into yeah. Have you ever heard of Half-Life video game?
I have. I was just watching a review about Half-Life Alex, which is
Yeah,
like a new VR game. It looked pretty cool, actually.
yeah. It's sort of the first game that every VR player has been looking for. And sort of not that ragdoll kind of style of characters and movement, as we're used to, but more it's like it's like as beautiful as Horizon Zero Dawn or The Witcher, or Fallout. Just you're able to put the headset on, and I think that's a huge step in that direction. And I think we'll, like I said, as technology increases, as we get better at using it, what's gonna change how we watch our content.
Absolutely. Kind of going off of what you said about the story based and how like it could change uh, like the outcome of the story. I think that's a really interesting and almost revolutionary idea because that is pretty common these days in like video games, RPGs, obviously. But
Yeah.
it's been pretty difficult to, or it seems more difficult to translate that to film or even television. And I think if that could be possible, it would bring up engagement and make it more engaging for people, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, a lot of video games, besides like your Overwatch, Call of Duty, those your Rocket League, those competitive video games, all the single player, they're stories, they're movies, but you're able to control, what your character does. You're able to control that movie. So giving the audience or the viewer a way of putting them in control makes them sort of feel more engaged. And you're not going to see it at your movie theater, right? You're not going to go to a movie theater and take a poll, who wants to do this, right? Because that's just too much, that's too long. But like I said, this new way of watching content at in your home on your phones, it it sort of it opens up a new audience, because you're still gonna have your moviegoers, right? You're still gonna have your people that just want to watch your TV, just watching it, but sort of blending that genre, I mean that sort of niche video gamer to the moviegoer, they're the same types of people, you know,
Right, that's very true.
giving them more control into how they watch the content, how they want the content to go. Um, I think, like I said, opens up a new avenue of how we watch content, and I think that might sort of be a new way to um, kind of give that spark, you know.
Do you think, and I guess my last question going off of that is, do you think the types of content people consume will become more diverse over time, or do you think it's uh, going to only be like movies and television, similar to kind of how it is now, um, in terms of like because there's all these TikToks and then there's video games and then there's YouTube. Do you think that's only going to expand with time, or do you think it's going to become more condensed at a certain point?
I think it's going to expand. I mean, when you look at it, right? Think about um, like sort of, for example, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, right? Snapchat was just an app to send videos to your friends, take pictures, and videos to your friends. And 2 years later, they had stories, right? You can add,
Right, yeah, that's true.
maybe it's a year later, you can add your video to a story where everybody can see it, right? It's a very simple idea. And then just last year, I think I watched this snap this forget what her name was. Um, I forget who it was, but I was watching a what do they call them? Snapchatter, I guess. I don't know. She was
Right.
famous, and Andrea Russet, I think it was. I could be wrong, but she somebody had made a film that you just watch through their story. You just click and it just kept going, and they
Oh,
would
that's
get
really cool.
yeah, and I thought it was real, and then I forget what the whole premise was, but I knew something wild happened at the end, and I was like, oh my god, I thought I was just watching a Snapchat story, and it
Right.
ended up being like, oh, it was a film. We had fun with it, and I thought that was amazing, right? And that was a 3-year process from Snapchat being just the standard taking pictures and sending your friends app to now they have all these news stories. Then they have like there's a murder mystery thing, and you figure out the murder mystery. I think new apps are gonna come into play, and as they sort of uh, get new viewers and have viewers create content, um, it's just gonna keep expanding. TikTok, for example, I was never on TikTok, and I was one of the TikTok non-believers until about a year, maybe a couple months ago. I was like, I don't want to be on TikTok. That's just for kids. And then one of my friends got it, and he was like, "Oh, there's these funny videos. It's just like Vine." I was like, "Wow, it's just like Vine." Yeah, and I got on it, and I watched it, and now I'm on it all the time. It's dumb, and I want to get off of it, but I just keep getting on. And um, content, it's just content, right? It just keeps expanding on itself. VR, like I said before, about maybe 2 years ago, it was just a whole setup that someone had at their house, but one out of what 10,000 people had one. Like it wasn't really this big thing, and now
Absolutely,
there's so
yeah.
much content being made for it. There's video games being made for it. There's movies being made for it. There's you can go to Peru, and it's like you're there with the headset on. Things are constantly
Right.
being improved on. I think as we keep going, like I said, technology is going to keep improving. We're going to keep learning how to use it. We're going to keep getting better at using it, and that just opens up alleyways for content. I was doing a film before this whole virus started, where we were looking at. It was me and two other classmates, and we were looking at um, one of my classmates got a grant for $1,000 from the school
Oh
to
yeah, I remember you telling me about
to
this.
do this project on urban environmentalism, on how urban structures and urban cities affect the environment, affect wildlife, especially. So we were looking at different avenues like that. Like there's a on top of like City Hall and all these other government buildings and different buildings in Chicago. There's beehives, and they grow beehives on top of the building, and they it works wonders for the
Right.
beacon. And we were taking all that content and making a VR video where you can select what type of content you wanted to see in the whole scope of urban environmentalism, and you would be able to, it would all connect to each other, and you would watch it with a VR headset. And that was sort of like one of the first of its kind to be created. And it's just, like I said, new content. It's just learning how to use the technology and implement it with our films. Um, you're going to get tired of seeing the same thing, same old thing all the time, right? You're going to want something new. And I strive to always provide something new to my audience. Even if it takes me, a couple of years to do it, I'm going to figure it out. So,
I think that's a good note to end on. Kevin, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me today.
yeah, of course.
Uh,
Thank you for having me. It's great.
Absolutely. And yeah, I'll talk to everyone watching later. Bye bye.
All right. See you.